Okay, well, validation error, yes. This is where the last stream stopped, stream of yesterday. And I was like, oh, bug. No bug. I didn't finish the implementation. So, what is missing? Insert something, I guess. Hi, KNM. It's not really an N, is it? I need to learn Russian, or what is it? I cannot remember this function. This is something like insert. I cannot type. Insert underscore, I think. Is this it? Was it this easy? Yep, that's how easy it was. This word is being called. I'm calling it with binding flags. Right, that's the thing. And then if a binding flags is not null, oh, this is just simply passed to the insert member function of m-sorted bindings and flags. Insert here, this one. Let's move this to the .cxx file, I guess, because it's going to be significantly bigger. Okay. Well, this is what we normally do. M-sorted bindings is namely a vector. And this thing is either empty or not. If it's empty, I think I need to know the size, so maybe I should get the size first here. Size type, let's call len, whatever. Of m-sorted bindings. Dot size. I need to do something special if len is larger than 0. And okay, what is it exactly what I want to do? The following is the case. We have the m-sorted bindings might have one or more elements, say A, B, C, or it is empty. It's a different case. It's the only really different case. We'd say we have case 1, it's empty, and 2, it's not empty. And that is of course before I insert that thing, otherwise it's definitely not empty. So let's move this above. Okay, this is a possible case. And then we have the case 1a, and binding flags is well, is 0. This is the mathematical is, so it's equals 0, not, I don't want to type this, but that's what I mean. Or 1b, binding flags is unequal 0. Yeah, well, okay, maybe I should have we'll do this, but here I didn't. But exactly the same can happen in case 2a. So, and maybe I should just call these case A and B. So you can have 1a, 1b, 2a, 2b. And there is yet another possibility, namely that binding flags itself is empty or not. Can it also be combined in every possible case? I think so. So let's call that Roman 1, and binding flags empty, and 2 not binding flags empty. So that's 2 times 2 times 2, that's 4 possible cases. And what I want is that. I don't know. Actions I want. Actions. Possible actions. Actions are capital A of action. Insert. Yeah, and now I forgot how to pronounce your name. Vasek or Vasek? So hi Vasek. Insert. That's also sorted. Oh damn, sorted. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm good. This is what I always want to do, so I'm not talking about that. The only actions that I'm talking about are what I do with binding flags. And one of the actions is insert binding flags into binding flags. Or let's call that B, and then let's call A do nothing. And then there is the action C, resize binding flags to len. That is then this len, the len before we insert this. However, there is a problem. I might also need to resort it. If this thing is being resorted, then I need the binding flags to be sorted along with it, or not. I think so. It seems to me that it's not a good decision what I did. I thought the easiest way was to just create this vector at the very moment that I insert something into it. Basically, what I need is binding flags to be empty. I need it to be filled with zeros, unless of course I need it to be filled with whatever you pass here. But if we only pass zeros, so this is the case for every call, then I wanted to avoid even creating the vector, just to save a little bit of CPU. Because if I create the vector, then I have to resize it every time I insert something. I just wanted to leave the vector completely empty and delay inserting things until I actually get the first non-zero value. But it needs to be sorted along with this thing. So if I delay the creation of the vector, that's all nice and dandy, but I still would have two vectors then, and then the next time that a non-zero vector, or a non-zero binding flag is being passed, or even a 0 one for that matter, if I insert a new descriptor set layout binding in my sorted bindings vector, it could be inserted at any point. Okay. So yeah, sorted vector insert is something that looks where it is inserted and then inserted at that place. So you have, say, a vector that looks like A, B, C, E, F, and then I want to insert D, and then it says, okay, I'm gonna resize it. Probably first resize it as a default constructed thing, and then we move it. E and F are moved up, and then we write the D at this place, and then it is still sorted. So it keeps it sorted. Now and then I have to do the same thing with binding flags. So maybe I can do that if I have this thing return the index, the insert index, something like that. So in this case it would say return 0, 1, 2, 3. Then I would know that now D is inserted at position 3, and then I can do the same thing with the binding flags. Let's see how this thing exactly works. I guess this upper bound returns an iterator to first element in the vector that is larger than item. That's what it should be, for that to work. Because this is 1. We have a 1 and a 2, and then there's no 1 and 2 here. I guess the top one is 1. Returns an iterator pointing to the first element in the range first to last such that value is less than element. Yeah, so it's the first element that is larger than value. So that's the same thing then. Except that I deleted something. And did not delete enough. So that's the same thing. Oh, it's returning an iterator already. Excuse me, that's not what it is. It's returning an iterator. So insert returns the iterator to the inserted element. So it does point to D, but it's not 3, it's just a pointer. However, I need to know the distance. So if I subtract begin from this, I do this, minus begin. Then that would be 0 if it was inserted at the beginning. In other words, it is 3 when it is D. So this is begin, it would be 1, 2, and 3. So this is now the index then. I think I should be able to do it then with that. Okay, let's make a table because I'm stupid. I think if you are like super smart, then maybe you would like just immediately see it, but I don't see that, so I cannot be smart. Oh, this is a 3-dimensional thing. I don't like that. Control cubes. Oh, I just make 8, a list of 8. So we have A1I, really? A1II, I'm just going to list them all. to BI, to BII, and then we get, well, sorry, I meant 1. Hey, LGL. And then the same thing, but then with 2. So that's the 8 cases that we have here, combining 2 times 2 times 2, that's 8. And then the actions that we have to do. Okay, well, actions. When do I have to do nothing? Let's figure it backwards. I have to do nothing when binding flags equals 0 and binding flags is still empty, and I don't care what then this is. So AI means nothing. Yeah, because if what I pass is 0 and the vector is still empty, then I don't want to insert anything. I just want to leave it empty. If I only get zeros, I want to end with an empty vector. And only when we get for the first time non-zero binding flags, at that point of course the vector is still empty, I need to insert stuff. What I'm going to do then is first I'm going to create the binding flags with the same size as the sorted bindings, but completely filled with zeros. We do that in the beginning, like before we do it in 2 steps. So let's say that would be non-zero plus empty. That's the only case in the only time that we're going to do that, I think. If it is empty, I need a non-zero thing. So that is BI. That's here. I'm going to resize binding flags. BI needs to C. But then after we did C, we still have to insert it, right? So we must insert it here. So that would be B, followed by B, I guess. So I make it all zeros and then I insert it as if it was already zeros. And now we have left only the double I's everywhere, meaning that it was already filled. And now in that case, I don't really care what I get. If I get a 0, I still want to insert it, or a non-zero value. I just want to keep growing this vector. So in that case, I would say we always want to just insert it, which would be B in all cases. And then apparently there's no difference whatsoever between 1 and 2. Why not? And the difference is, of course, that in case 1, len is 0. So that we don't have to do C if len is 0. So I could remove C for the case 1. Yeah. What happened? So let's say this case doesn't matter that it is empty because I'm doing A in both cases, independent of M-sorted bindings having elements or not. So that is the case AI, that means binding flags that is passed is 0 and it is empty. Yeah, then we don't do anything. We do nothing. Doesn't really matter indeed. So that's correct. And then this is different, is it? No, it's not different. 1 AII and 2 AII is both B. So AII we get 0 while the binding flags is not empty. Well, if binding flag is not empty, then M-sorted bindings cannot be empty. It's impossible. So in the case of II, we cannot have a 1. So this is just this is just not existing. And then the same here. It never happens. LGL, no, I didn't. I would really like to, and I probably one of the first things that I would do if I would do anything. If I'm gonna ever do anything with neural networks, it's going to be in conjunction with using my Vulkan engine, and then write something fun that learns. You know, that you can just see. That you can see, you know, little animals running around and learning things. It seems very interesting. Yeah, let Shendo Yin is also back. Hi, hello, welcome back. We have I want to get it right. Check that one BI. So I said 1 and 2. This is not, yeah, it's not possible, right? You cannot have a non-empty binding flags and an empty sorted bindings. 2 AI. AII. To be I. To be II. Okay, I think this is it. So first I have to decide if we do C. And C is done when 2BI. That means that sorted binding is not empty, so len is larger than 0. And B, binding flags is non-zero. And I, and binding flags is empty. So this is the case 2BI. And then we want to do C, which means resize M binding flags to len. And that's the only C. And then after that, we might want to do B. Well, these never even happen, so I don't care about it. So I just can do B always except when we have the case AI, in which case we have to do nothing. So I want to do an if to detect not AI. which means that either where binding flags is set or and binding flags is not empty. This is set, then we have a B, so we do not have AI. And when this is not empty, then we have a double I, so we do not have AI. And therefore we have one of the other cases, in which case we can do B. Where B is insert binding flags into M binding flags. Well, now you also have to move stuff. So, for example, in this case, len is 5, and then we get inserted index is 3. Can't type. So the index is 3. And then say M binding flags is I don't know. It's not sorted. That's bullshit actually. Binding flags just contain the flags which are either 0 or not. But that doesn't matter. Let's say P, Q, or so we have to move the S and the T to make space here. And then we can insert the new value at that point, at 3. So ignoring the move, we end with M binding flags. Inserted index is binding flags. Wait, we do this resize. Will it be filled with all zeros? I think so, but I have to make sure. Atomic. That's going to default construct the descriptor binding flags, which I think that definitely is going to lead to 0. Well, what the heck is the my flags, really? There it is, flags. Yep, so the default constructor of flags is filled with 0, that's what I want. That's pretty unlikely. I cannot pronounce your name. Give me a simpler name so I can call you that. I can just call you Guy. Guyan. I'm gonna call you Guy. Binding flags. I think the zeros work, but the suckage is that I still have to resize it then afterwards to len plus 1. Extend this vector or something like. Capacity. Yeah. It's not what I want. I want to grow the capacity. And it's reserve. Yep. So to make the following resize and not call malloc again. Probably better to call reserve here first. Yeah, and here I need to move stuff. I think it's still best to just resize it to len plus 1. And then we have to move see, so len was 5, len plus 1 is 6, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but it didn't move it yet. So after this it looks like this. We added the 0 by the resize. Resize just fills it with zeros, extends zeros. And then we have to move the T and the S. Which means that we have to start at the end. So you can move to, well, I have a len of 5 still. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we just move 2 len. While something len minus 1. Yeah, so we move so len minus 1 is 4, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is moved to 5, yes? And then we do that again, then the S is moved to here, and then we stop. The reason we do it again like that is because we decrement len. And yeah, let's just do that here. And then I stop because after we do the last move, we copy from, well, I already see it, right? It's just while len is larger than inserted index. So we begin with len is 5 and inserted index was 3. So 5 is larger than 3, therefore copy index 425. I'll put the index above it so it's easier to see. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we copy 4 to 5. We copy 4 to 5. Then the t has been moved. Then len is decremented by 1, so now len is 4. 4 is still larger than 3. So we copy 3 to 4. 3 to 4. Then the s is moved. Now we have this. Then len is decremented by 1. Now len is equal to 3, so it's no longer larger than 3, which is the inserted index. Therefore we quit, and then we write binding flags to index 3, which is here. And that is that value then. So I think that's good. I'm gonna delete this because it's hardly explaining anything. This was not AI, right? Sort of like, if not AI, do B. And then this is B. Yeah. So now if this thing is ever called with the binding flags that is non-zero, then we keep also a vector with all those values. I think, not even out of memory this time. Not swapping. Well, I think that this was the last thing that I just forgot to implement yesterday, and then I thought it had to be a bug. So yesterday I coded a while, an hour I think, and then it compiled and I ran it, and I said, well, I think that if now I run it, we should have gotten rid of the validation error, but it didn't. So I went to bed thinking that there was a bug where I said, well, then apparently I did something wrong. And then I stopped the stream and I went to my bedroom, and even in the bathroom I already thought, oh wait, I just forgot to implement that function, which we just did. So now I repeat again. I think that now that it's finished, I must have gotten rid of the validation error. But so far so good. Go to the top, grab validation error. It is, however, no, it's, is it the same validation error? I am afraid it is. Not exactly, I'm not sure this is the same one. It does talk about this. It looks different. I think there was more text here. Just forgot what it was before. No, it's not Emacs, it's a NeoVim. Okay, I think it works. Yeah, it works. I just made a mistake with the pool. I have not set this on my pool. Yeah. It seems to work-ish. And probably I should be able to see that. Create a descriptor set layout. Sorted bindings. Yep, binding flags. Yep. So my binding flags just work. It says update after bind twice. And the size of this thing is also 2. But it's not happy that I did not use this flag. Guy, good night. Yeah. 2 a.m. is a very good time to go to bed. And Burke, yes, it's like DirectX. I mean, not like it, but it's a library for, you know, implementing 3D. Oh, LGL left too. Didn't see that. Oh. But Guy, you should go to bed when it is 2 a.m., shouldn't you? Or you can tell me what I should do next, because this peak bindings does not have VK descriptor set layout create update after bind pool bit. The states if any binding has VK descriptor binding update after bind bit set, flags must include I absolutely have no clue what they're talking about. If any binding is that set, what are we talking about? Flags. I guess that's our only hope to understand this a little bit better. That whatever they mean here with flags, that's what should have this bit set. So I'm going to scroll up, crossing my fingers, and it's not easy to scroll with your fingers crossed. Maybe I should use my other hand for the crossing fingers. Flags here. Flags is a bit mask of. Yeah, definitely has a pool bit. What does it better? What else does it have? VK descriptor set layout grade. VK descriptor layout grade push descriptor bit, whatever that is. Set layout create descriptor buffer bit. Nobody knows what that is. Set layout create embedded. What? Layout create host only bit. Create update after bind pool bit. Ext. That's just Wolf. Whatever. Okay. So. And that has to be set in flags. Flags is a bit mask off, specifying options for the descriptor set layout creation. Yeah. Okay. Let's set that bit in. Now I first have to find in my code whether that happens. Yeah, I actually have it here. Okay, I'm gonna be well, actually I'm not sure. At the moment, the only reason I'm using this, the only time that I'm using this is when I use update after bind. So I might as well add it here. But on the other hand, this is more general code. So theoretically, I should kind of check if any of these binding flags actually need this. But then again, yeah, let's do it the perfect way. Well, no, the flexible way. Otherwise, I might run into, you know, in the future. It's a bit vague, but so this structure has it doesn't have flags. Excusez-moi. What are we talking about now? This thing doesn't even have flags. Okay. Flags. Part of descriptor set layout, create info. Descriptor set layout, create info. Yeah, that's the first thing here. So there's a dot flags here that we need. Yeah, this thing has a flags. Okay. Now we don't set it as 0. That's default construction, which will result in a 0. And already looked at these things, right? Yeah. But okay, it's more like it's more like something like this. We have this. Those are the flags. I'm just gonna get them from this thing here. So that's binding flags. Yeah, what call these binding flags? Well, these are called binding flags. And then this is descriptor set layout flags, I guess. Or if I just leave out descriptor set layout. Set layout. We're talking about set layout here. There's also a descriptor, by the way. Oh, let's set layout flags. Whatever. Does get bigger and bigger, however. Now I need to look at it again and the order. The order is that the flags come directly before the binding count, so they come pretty early. Scale.flags. I'm going to set flags equal to, let's call them a descriptor set layout flags. Yeah, okay. A45, hello. Oh, it's going slow. What it's going. It's as an accessor, which I just used for this thing. And then I still have to set it, of course. And that then happens in this insert function we just worked on. So when do we need to set this? Well, whenever we actually use. So at some point we have a non-zero binding flag, and then we always get a come here. Yes. And then we do an OR with yeah, that thing. That was a bit unclear. I want to No, that's not it. If binding flags and so if any of these binding flags have the update after bind pool set, then this must set that one. Oh, that is the one. It is this one. I'll just set that. If binding flags was set to, what is the type of binding flags? This one. God. This one. Okay, got it. So if any binding flags that are being set include this flag, then the descriptor set layout flags must have that flag. That's what it complained about, so that's what we did. A45, you were the one who screamed, oh my god, he is really live. Is that true? No return statement. That's usually not working. Yeah, I did not remember that. But when you said solved my doubts, and that's kind of the only thing that it could have been. And I think that indeed at that moment I thought, yeah, that was A45. Descriptor binding flag bits has not been declared. It's just whining, that's what it is. Whining. Any little bit cannot find the word compiler. Artificial intelligence compiler would have added the VK itself. Now what was the word I was looking for? Any ... artificial intelligent compiler. Could be something like self-respecting. Any self-respecting artificial compiler would just have added VK ... But it's not exactly the word I was looking for, I think. I did not write it to a log file. it changed. That's one thing. Let's allocate the descriptor set 1, 2. We got 2 validation errors at the call of allocate descriptor sets. Descriptor set layout, create flags, and pool create flags mismatch for index. Okay, I have add a flag to my pool as well. Descriptor set. If any element of P set layouts was created with the VK descriptor set layout create update after bind pool bit send, which apparently we just did, descriptor pool must have been created with the VK descriptor pool create update after bind bit flag set. Now they are being annoying, because this we cannot know in advance, I think. Or can we? Yep, I want to know the very... I don't know what's wrong with my brain, but I cannot talk English anymore. For a start, I think I meant I want to know what... Or I don't know. I know exactly what I mean, but I cannot translate it into English or any language for that matter. Thank God that I'm not thinking in words, otherwise I would have been going senile, I think. So okay, no words, but what I wanted was this. Because this is the pool. This was called from 1189. Yep, so it's calling allocate descriptor sets, passing a pool. I guess you could say that on the YHTRADFEW. You're just printing a pointer descriptor pool. That's not very useful. Yeah, I don't think we even get to see that pointer in the log anywhere else. Why would it print it? Yep, only line. Right, so yeah, well, let's go to the function where this was called. Is that here? No, I meant up. This one, right? I'm using a pretty general descriptor pool apparently, or okay, it's descriptor, but logical device. I guess that's the one. Contains a reference to m descriptor pool. Descriptor pool type. VK utils or write log only. What the hell is that? Oh. There's this, I'm almost feeling nauseous. Seriously? So this is a wrapper that wraps T together with a mutex. So we just have two things now, a T and a mutex. T, by the way, is stored as an char array, so you cannot even access it. But you can cast it, and it is in place with placement new constructed and initialized, and we can still access it, of course, with the static cast, casting the character pointer to the T type. But you can only do that through another type, which is called the WAT for write access type, or a read access type, or const read access type. And by creating these objects, say read access type would, if this was a read write log, it is not. This is just a standard mutex. But if it was a read write log, then the read access type would log the mutex, read log the read write log, and then give you back a T const pointer. So a read only pointer. It's a pointer to T, but you can only get const access. Okay. Now for some reason, this wrapper wraps my wrapper in a way that you cannot use cret or ret anymore. You can therefore, because it's private. So the only access type that is left, which you inherit from this wrapper, by the way, is the WAT, which is then the write access type. However, why? The only difference is that if you lock this thing, I mean, it's your mutex anyway, so it doesn't really matter which one you take. Just gonna lock your mutex. It's the same thing. Okay, let's humor the code and say that this thing would be a read-write lock, but it isn't. I mean, this is the whole utility. Write lock only. That's what it is called. And it does use mutex. So why is that? Well, then the only reason for that is actually that if write log only is const, so this object is const, then you cannot write log it. You can read log it, but not using the ret, because ret can be converted to a WAT. But you could still use cret. Okay, so making cret private would, the only thing I see here is that making the cret private forces you to use a non-const write log only object. Okay, that's what I see. Otherwise, it wouldn't make any sense to have this utility. And then we go back, and how is it being used? Mutable. That's why I feel like throwing up. I must have been coding this like in the past month or so, maybe 2 months, I don't know, somewhere like that. And I cannot imagine what I was thinking. Doesn't mean that I'm not just a complete idiot now at this moment for not understanding it. So I'm just, let's say I'm confused, very confused. What is going on here? By the way, that by making a mutable, I can even do non-const access when it is const. So these two things bite each other completely. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Why did I do this? I mean, it says here why I want a mutable. The mutable is for so that I can have a read log on this object, so the whole object. If I have a read log on the object, then I only get const access, like I just explained. And then I still want to have access to this thing. Write access to this thing, actually, because I want to be able to get the write log on it. And that's okay, getting the write log on it, even though I only have the read log on this object. Because the read log just means, you know, it's locked, it's thread safe. It's thread safe for concurrent access by multiple threads, because all the threads will only be reading. That's what the read log means. But it's, since it is always thread safe anyway, might as well make it mutable. That's the thought behind it. Anyway, I'm gonna ignore this this stuff, because I have no idea what I was doing here. Why would I even have written this write log on? Why is there no comment that explains it? I'm pretty sure I have it in one of my streams. I still must have the stream on YouTube where I wrote this. I would really like to watch that. Can never find it back, of course. Never ever. No, forget it. So this returns our wrapped descriptor pool as a non-const reference, even though this thing is const, because this thing is thread safe. The type is thread safe. That then is passed to allocate descriptor sets. That gets my descriptor type reference, descriptor pool, and then here we take the write log. Now, what would have been so bad to take the read log here? I must have had a reason, but okay, like I said, let's forget it. The point is, I take this write log and then I get the pointer to whatever this descriptor pool actually is, and that is necessary because yeah, the user has to do the synchronization. Okay, you have to log some mutex whenever you use your pool. So I force myself to log a mutex because otherwise I cannot even access the pool. So I want to do this. I need a what type. This is W underscore W here means that it is a what type. I cannot access it without logging. So that's why I call it thread safe. I mean, my library is called thread safe, AI thread safe, where AI stands for just the initials of my another pseudonym that I use. So it's the initials of the author. More importantly, what I really want to know here is, of course, how did this descriptor pool get created, because it's missing a flag. So I really want to have a look at how this is being created. And that's happening here, I suppose. Create descriptor pool. Yep. Well, that's created by calling a create descriptor pool. Okay, that's random. A 100. Yeah, well, nobody knows how that worked, so I just copied that thing from one of the tutorials. What are we in now? Which function are we in? Big function. In initialization stuff. Prepare. Yeah, well, okay. Well, I guess this is the flags, and it's called while I prepare everything. I mean, and okay. The type of this flags is, well, it's already given. This is a type. Well, maybe it's not. It's more like that flags. And then, what do you call that, flags? And for now, I'll set it equal to this. And then I'll replace this with flags. And then, well, if something, we'll just add those other flags. And those other flags were descriptor grade flags. This is it, right? Is this what it was wanted? Descriptor pool create. I guess so. Is this the one? Let's have a look at. Arrow again. Yep, that's the one. So we need this as well from the same type. And then I only want to add that, and it's, I think it's pretty unfortunate I have to add it always, because I don't know if I'm going to do that, or if the user is going to do that. I suppose it just makes it a little bit bigger, adds extra space. So yeah, not slower, just more memory. Not that much either. Just do it, but only when there is support for it. And I'm not sure where exactly I'm detecting that. So this is being called from here, although it is like totally at the bottom of the prepare, right? So if my prepare also figures out, and I already see it does, it's going to do the detection of the update after bind, like right here, this one, before we call that function, so it should already have been set it, and that is this. That is being set, and that is a boolean of the logical device. So go to the bottom. I didn't ask you to do this at all. Stupid editor. This is logical device, so I can simply test if that is supported. Yeah. And the validation errors are gone. Phew. Okay. Well, it works. Great. Yeah, let's just look at the git diff, I guess, and then get rid of this. I have a loop variable which I use to put a delay between each text change, and well, why not? Let's keep it. Let's make the delay a little bit shorter though. And I think that the delay is even more fun than doing at once. So I'm going to delete all of this. Is that a good plan? Get here can be deleted as well. vi window.h, get here, delete this. That boom boom. For some reason we have an indentation here. Oh, that's because this is a lambda. And I wanted to delete this, and I wanted to shorten the timer value, which is set where? There. Make that milliseconds, let's say 100 milliseconds. Is that too fast? 200 milliseconds. See how that looks. Oh, looks nice. Diff. Okay, so the trick is now that if I call this, so I have my combined image samplers, and I'm saying that I'm going to update after bind. If I do not do this, then I should get a validation error if I try. Although nobody likes validation errors, so maybe I should, in debug mode, assert instead. There is two asserts that I still have to add. One, if I try to call this while it is not supported, I want to assert. Then why not as fast as possible? So literally like on this call here. So let's do that first. I'm going to find back this one. Grab project sources for that line and then edit it. And then we jump to the set binding flags. And then we end up here. What was the other one then? Combined image samplers. Combined image sampler. Also combined image sampler. I think this is the one. I think. What the other one is doing, I don't know. Okay, so yeah, I want to assert here if we try to call this and it is not supported, but I can only do that if I have my logical device right here, and I'm afraid I don't have that. Oh, we might have that. We have a window. Is the owning window already set? Owning window. Owning window is set by starting. By starting task. I don't think it just started already. Sure it isn't. Definitely not set. Definitely not set. Well, actually, I did already run it. I think this one here calls run. It calls run without, yeah. without specifying where to run it, which means it runs in immediate mode, which means that the run does not return until the task gets into the wait state, which means that it did already start executing and round. That's not what I wanted. Already started executing this task. Oh, but we don't have any data yet, so it's gonna hang in the flush. Well, hang. It's going to not call this lambda and simply break out here. But yeah, did not set the M owning window yet. Boom, 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 boom. Normally I wouldn't do very difficult, and I would just say, well, I need a logical device inside this function, so pass it. You know, I can just demand that the logical device being passed right here, or the window. But yeah, just for debugging then. Just this is user code. So one, I don't want to force the user to pass 2 arguments when they can do it with just 1. Especially not when the only reason I would force them to pass the logical device is to then slap them on the fingers when it is not supporting this update after bind. I might rather do that later. I guess I won't do this here. It's only really going to be a problem once you call this function. But not even in all cases. It's only a problem if you delay this. When you have to call it anyway once. Now I'm delaying it. If you don't delay it, it's, I think, yeah, you have to call it early. You must call it during create textures, otherwise it's not supported when you don't have that one support. Let's see if I call this update image sampler, it calls have new datum. Move update. Update is then texture update request, which we just passed here. Only one of those. Shader resource combined image sampler. That would be not this one, or this one. But okay, which we did call set binding flags. We just passed it on to the task. Okay, so my task has the flags. And now I'm calling to have new datum, which causes the task could be run again. Task to be run again. Which task? This task. So that means it's received here in this lambda, and the update that we sent was a texture. So we get here. And then I must detect that there are already textures. Sorry, there are already the other type thing that would be descriptors. There are already descriptors. Receive the texture update. Key texture pointer. Following code works to the same descriptors above comment. Iterator. Begin while not end. ID less than break. Texture just inserting it. Factory. Else. Elements with the same factory characteristic ID and increasing consecutive range. Yeah, it's just also still inserting. Same texture. Not same factory as factory characteristic ID or texture shift range is less than. Same texture. the new text in order. Insert a new element. I think all the way here now. This is matching descriptors. Yep. So right here, if matching descriptors is not empty, and we did pass we did pass those flags. Actually, it doesn't even matter we pass those flags. I think I'm going to give a little bit more output, debug output, information than just an assert. Differently. If it is not empty, okay, now I definitely need access to my logical device. How do I get that? This is this is the combined image sampler task, which is this thing here that does have an owning window, and that definitely should be set at that point. At that point, I mean. Well, that returns always a logical device pointer. Hi, Post Bunny. Yeah, you got the gist of it. Happy someone saw it and understood it, I hope. Sorry, I have to laugh. Post Bunny said, Carlo, your descriptions are getting so good. So read the description. Logical device. So if not logical device, yeah, that thing, you know, I don't know. Let's go to the header. This is the header, and then somewhere I have a boolean. And I don't have a boolean here. Not this logical device. The other logical device. My God, how many logical devices do I have? This one. Nope. Totally lost it. Okay, I'm confused. Oh, I thought you referred to the edit that I made, and I made only a very small edit. So maybe I should not have laughed then. The only edit that I made was after the sentence, the first sentence, to do 5, blah, 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 and I added between parentheses part 54. And the idea of the part 54 was, of course, to abbreviate that it's a never-ending story. I thought you were referring to that. You were not referring to part 54, I guess. I have this support. Let's go here. DPSXM support. This one. I need an accessor to this thing, otherwise it's useless, isn't it? Yay, I have it, I have an accessor. Watching in the future, oops. Seriously? Maybe I should throw an exception actually here. Or not. Yeah. This is like a gray area. I'm using, let's say, to make it really black and white, I would say, if the user clicks on something or fills in a field or does any action that causes a irrecoverable failure, I throw an exception with text that explains down to the lowest technical level what is going on. So while calling this function with that argument, we call that function with that argument, and now we are trying to do this, and then that was equal 0, and that's a failure because blah blah blah, you know, and that wrapped up in an exception, and I throw that. And then the code should try to recover, but at the very least also cause a pop-up, so that the unsuspected user gets a technical explanation of what went wrong. And then, of course, they go to the help desk or the forum, you know, the people that do understand, and they can paste, look, I did this and that I got this error, and then they will be helped, because then everyone knows exactly what's going on. People that help them anyway. So user does something that's not possible, I throw an exception. But if the coder that is using my Vulkan engine writes a program and he makes an error, then I do an assert. There's a lot of programmers who think that asserts are evil, and even so evil that that you should never use them, because God forbid that you have production code and it asserts. Poor user. One moment they're using your program and then bang, it crashes. That's the worst thing that can happen, right? So why would you add an assert to code? I mean, if it doesn't fire, then you didn't need it, and it does fire, then it just brings your user back to the command prompt. They'll give you 1 star and write a negative review, and yeah. But my opinion is the more asserts the better, even in production code, because the assert is there for a reason. It's because a probably fatal error happened, and if you do not assert, then the program will continue running for I don't know, a microsecond longer, or maybe a whole second longer, or I don't know, but things will go wrong and the user will suffer, and they then will complain, and they will say things like, my avatar became invisible. or they crashed, of course. But let's say they say my avatar became invisible, and after 100 people ran into that, and they finally convinced the open source code manager that this is something that is bugging a lot of people. They get a programmer to look into it, and that programmer is no way to solve it, because unless they reproduce it themselves by coincidence, and even then, while if you have an assert, I mean, first of all, the programmer should have tested their code. They should have run into the assert, and assert should never happen, because let's say the program was tested well enough. But okay, sometimes there is a bug in the code that is so well hidden that it cannot be reproduced by testers and by the programmers, and then only in production code, when 10,000s of people are using it the whole day long, suddenly someone runs into that special case where this thing happens, and then the assert fires. And then they can report that assert fired in that line. And then the programmer then there is only one user, not 100, and not weeks long. No, just one user, and he reported it, and it happened seldom, so okay. And then the coder will say, oh, that assert, oh, what were you doing? That, oh, let me write a fix. Much better, much better. Now in this particular case, I feel it's like a gray area. I'm not sure I want to. It could be either. It could be the error of the programmer, but it could also be that maybe the user is trying to use something or do something that their GPU is simply not supporting. So we could throw an exception saying that, sorry, what you were just doing is not supported by your GPU. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I'm gonna go for the, that is the coder's problem. But yeah, the out fatal just crashes. So that would be very annoying for the user to run into. They have to look at the log files then to see the text instead of getting it on their screen. On the other hand, there is no real recovery possible at all anyway, so I can keep running, and then you get validation errors which do not make the GPU lock up, and you just get wrong textures or gray textures, I guess. It's not that bad, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna do it like this though. I think Coder should not allow that. Okay. Blah 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 blah. And I have to know what to put into it. Okay, that's difficult. What was being called? One thing is being called before the other. I have to, let me just look here. I think it's probably easiest way. Create textures. It's simple. How many have of those? Okay, combined image sampler, update image sampler. And the other one is the one that causes this to not be empty. Which is really? There's no clue. That one. Yep. So basically the call to this function then. Which is done from here. Okay, which is called from update missing descriptor sets, which is called from pipeline factory update missing descriptor sets, which is running, I think, unclear. I think I have to do this before any factory runs. Pipeline factory. So maybe it should turn it around like the pipeline factory using a combined image sampler. Was started, well, let's use the word run because that's what I do, was run before other image sampler called on that combined image sampler. While while the Vulkan device is not supporting. No, this is not much information here. Well, it's explaining it, but we want to know which pipeline factory, of course. Does the thing have a debug name or something? Task name. That would be probably what I want. It's the only name that I see anyway. The task name is probably just pipeline factory, so that wouldn't help very much. Yeah, pipeline factory. So not really. Yeah, probably should look at say the window again. Pipeline factory. Oh, well, factory then. Pipeline factory. These things don't have names. No, apparently not. It's just pipeline 0 and 1. Yeah, very useful, but still. But I don't think the pipeline itself knows that it's called 0 or 1. So, well, okay. Forget it. I'll just add... or maybe this thing has a name. Yeah, it has this name here. TLSLD full. And that's like passed to the base class. I think the base class has it. Also has a debug name. I can just print debug name. The base class of combined image sampler. And then I need combined image sampler, of course. Which combined image sampler? Well, I guess just this pointer, right? Well, we are in the lambda. The lambda did capture this pointer, so I can just call debug name to compile debug name. And now we have a suggestion as well. So but in that case, all calls to update image sampler must be done from create textures. No, let's formulate that differently. In that case, calls to update image sampler can only be done from create textures. I think that's long enough. No, I thought there was another one. Yeah, there's another one. Otherwise, oh, he just crashed anyway, so we don't need an else here. But if something, there's another problem. And that something is when the flag is not being set. How can I read that flag? Where do I read the flag from? Well, that is again here. This pointer thing. So we'll combine the image sampler here. We have these flags here. But I can't just read them because this is my current class. So if those flags do not have set whatever the flag is, and then I mean not, then we have a problem. The flags that need to be set are update after bind, or whatever it is that this thing supports here. Bits. The update after bind. And I cannot remember, well, I can remember this one. Update after bind. Let's copy that. No, this is just an assert. Call ... yeah, now we got what, of course. Call something. Call this. Well, it's test 1 if it compiles, 2 if it still runs, 3 if it asserts if I make it a deliberate error. It does not compile. How annoying. Struct standard pair normal iterator. So Standard vertex, standard pair. There's no member named empty. I guess basically it says it's an that it is an iterator. Oh, it's an iterator. Yeah, I don't know. Someone who wants to use my couch, and the answer is no. She keeps calling and calling and calling and calling, and you don't answer. And she doesn't understand that the answer is no. If I don't answer the phone for 6 times, what do you think my answer will be? So if I pick up the phone, I would have to listen to a half an hour at least to social pressure in making me let someone stay the night here because she has to catch a plane, which leaves from close to my house-ish. But the answer is no. I don't want to have that conversation. I don't want to be put under pressure. So tell me I'm wrong by simply ignoring the whole call while I'm streaming. That's also not it. Yeah, why wouldn't I even do this? Evil laughter. Okay, I'm gonna read this. Sorry, it's the airplane thing. When is this? Tomorrow, probably. I feel if I would call her back or answer the phone, that I'm gonna say yes, you know. I just don't like her for pressuring me. She's like the kind of person to plan a journey and then say to herself or to whoever's listening at that moment, I'll just stay the night with Carlo and then it will be easy and cheap and stuff like that. And then after having arranged everything, she's going to get that, get what she wants. And then of course that cannot not be done by social media or email or whatever. Must be done by telephone. I hate telephones. So yeah. Just leave me alone. What was I doing? No, I don't know what I was doing anymore. No, I don't. That is what I call bad memory. Oh, it did not compile. And then I edited it. And now I have to compile it again. And it still doesn't compile, apparently. Oh. It's so bloody atomic. Yeah. So it must still work. And then I will make a deliberate error. Nou, ik heb in ieder geval... I gave her an answer. By social media. It did anyway recover quit the board. What is this? Open it. And now watch. Oh yeah, I was going to make an error. So something like update after. I do not. Oh, like that. If I do not call this, I should assert. Yep, it tells me to call set binding flags. Okay, but I don't do that anyway. But I also do not delay. I just call it from create textures. I'm not sure if it's going to help to set this to 1 microsecond. Might be too short anyway. It would be fun if this works. I think that 1 microsecond might still be too many delay. I'm gonna try it. Too much delay. Nope. No assert, so that worked. Now I'm curious, of course, how many microseconds I can make it to delay until it goes wrong. Oh no, 10 microseconds. Still works. Still works. Oh, maybe it's related to the frame rate. So then we can sleep a long time. Let's go to 1 millisecond anyway. Okay, I have to sleep longer than 60 milliseconds before even the next frame starts. Nope, that was already no. Yep. One millisecond is too much. Let's add to 200 again. Update after bind must be called. There's one other thing I can test. That is when it is not supporting it, right? So let's say, yeah, I don't know. Let's go to support text users. Vulkan LSVI logical device, and then you can also update. Oh, there it is. What if I just set this to false? So now we don't have support for update after bind, and then I want to see what happens. At least it thinks it doesn't have support for it. The pipeline says codem. The pipeline factory uses. No, I'm not even going to read it. Yeah, it's saying top. Okay. Thing has a name. Yeah, parenthesis is not the right thing, right? That's better. I need to remove that again. Yeah. I guess that was to do 0.5. Yeah. I'll push it. I'm 13 commits behind. Okay, my to-do says the top to-do was 0.5 already, but making updating of the correct descriptor, the given index working. Seems this requires setting a flag when creating descriptor sets. I just set that flag, now it works. I'm not ready to go to the next to-do, however. Next to-do says in the description, right? This textures are uploaded to the GPU now, but what does that mean? What represents the CPU side things that allow me to use a texture? And how can I free the resources on the GPU again when I don't need the texture anymore? Yeah. I think I made, in the meantime, I made a complete split up between the combined image samplers and the textures. So huge code changes since this to-do was written. At most, I can still ask myself how to free the resources again when certain textures are no longer in use. But I think that more important is that now I have to support arrays. So I'll type in to do support arrays of textures. So I extend my FAQ with a question of how old I am and stuff like that. People kept asking that as well. It's definitely an FAQ. Q. How long have you been coding? Answer. I started at 12 on the TRS 80 in a shop where they sold those. And then my dad bought a D.A.I. How do you call those regions in the modern CPUs that allow programs to crash without taking the whole operating system with them? Like protected regions or something like that. Protected mode maybe. Save multitasking. Yeah, let's just call it protected mode then. I don't know, maybe privileged something. No, I think the big difference is let's say the kernel runs in certain mode, and then each user mode application runs in a certain mode where it has its own memory. And if a program crashes and it tries to, let's say, overwrite memory that doesn't belong to it, for example, memory that belongs to the kernel, that just fails. And that needs hardware support. That hardware support did not exist in the beginning, so you would just overwrite everything. making the kernel crash. Although it didn't have a kernel then back then, I think. Well, the operating system. When did I learn C? That was like 25 or so. Only started with C++ when I turned, okay, when I left university. Okay, updated the description. Then now we can have a look at what this was not committed. Oh, it's modified content. Probably should have committed that as well then. And of course I pushed it already. Yeah, setting has expired or false. Is that really necessary? I think it is. If you want to restart the timer, you would think it is. But it's kind of weird to do that in Finish, I must say. I would rather just reset it in the start. So in the initialization. So I rerun it, it's gonna run from the start, isn't it? When this works, but nah. Yeah, let's not do that. I think it will be perfectly fine if I do it like this. I don't even know if it doesn't work without this. Seems, I mean, I would say no, didn't test it. But I'm always like, yeah, if I did this in the past, then it must work. Why would I otherwise, you know, commit it and leave it like that for a long time? But I guess I'd never tested it or something like that. I don't know. Or I think there's it might have looked like it worked. I think there's wait until this test is for a superiors wake up, which might happen, if at all. So let's say if it has expired, it's set to true even already before we enter here. So going restart it was set to true. That would mean that this lambda would always return true. But it should wait anyway, I think, until it would receive this signal, which is only gets once every call to expire, which is being called by the underlying timer. Now, why would the underlying timer called expire when it didn't expire? I don't think that that's what will be the case. Would be the case. So I have no idea what's going on here. It could be that this indeed is a bug, and then it still worked because it's just not really needing this. So now I'm wondering why I added this test, but then again, I'm getting more and more stupid by the day, so anything I did in the past is, I have the feeling like, oh, okay. My past self did that, and it's probably necessary. Anyway, still think it's, yeah, I just looked at it, it's just committed. Always do is status, no new files. No, of course not. Commit -a. That was a, let's call it a bug fix. I just did it. I just did it. Just put the push. Okay, status, get add. Git commit. Okay. Now it is clean finally, right? Except for this. Good. What to do next? Yeah, the array, a texture array. Why are my hands so cold? It is pretty cold here, 18 degrees, but no reason to have cold hands. It's not 10 degrees. Nordric noob. Well, never would be my best guess. But there will always be milestones along the way, so it gets more and more fun. I mean, visually, I hope. Yeah, years, years. Okay, so the next step here is a set array size. Already there, commented it out. So in Vulkan, a single combined image sampler descriptor can represent multiple textures. As an array, you still only need a single descriptor, as opposed to OpenGL. So you gotta start somewhere, and I think this is the first place where I would even start mentioning it. I mean, yeah, of course, it's great graphics pipelines, and the function above that is not this. I was looking for create textures actually. But textures themselves have nothing to do with it. Create textures is just the textures, like I've got a bunch of textures there. Well, thank you. Yeah, these are just images. I can load them later, on a needed basis. I can bind them to my combined image samplers. But binding then happens not just to a descriptor, but also to a certain array index of that descriptor. But it has nothing to do with the textures themselves. In this case, we just have 3 textures. So it's only when we start talking about combined image samplers. Okay, something is happening here as well. This is putting together the pipeline. And here we're also talking about combined image samplers. Although this code is executed after the code that is below this. That we were at before, I mean. Yeah, this just adds combined image samplers that I have to the pipeline, passing some preferences on how to combine them, which ones to put in the same descriptor set, just hints. Actually, now I'm talking about this, I'm kind of curious what happens if I don't give any hints. Okay, now I'm curious. No hints for you. So I guess that means I just comment this out. Still close it. So I'm just dumb calling add combined add combined image sampler for each combined image sampler that I have, which is that's not working. Just delete this. Okay. Oops. Yeah, I have to do this per pipeline. That's correct. No, I cannot have my engine figure that out by itself. I mean, the shaders that I use, which I'm also adding to the pipeline here, they just expect to exactly two combined image samplers. So I have 3 of them, but I need to add, I can only add 2 of them to each pipeline. So I'm afraid I still have to do it like this, but I'll remove my preferences for how to combine them, and then I have no idea what it will do actually, but yeah, that should work of course. So curiosity. Hello, nice guy. Yeah, I was afraid of that. Let's see, thread pool 0 crashes. No, thread pool 3 crashes. That's this one. Oh, it crashes because I made I did make it an array already. So I changed 2 things at the same time. Yeah. So we're still going to try it without this preference stuff. But the set array here doesn't work yet. Well, isn't that great? That still works. So now we don't even know what it did, but it did it in a way that it worked. Right, I'm going to stop the stream, I think. Been streaming for 3 hours, that's long enough. It's getting late-ish. 2. And we are at a nice point to stop, I think, because well, it's a new topic heading array. So you saw it already worked a little bit. If I put the 2 here, then the declaration changed. Declaration then became an array size of 2. And yeah. My arrays are, sorry, if my textures are arrays, then I have to use an index, of course, otherwise it won't compile. Now there's nothing arrays about it, so I'm just going to use the 0 index. And that might actually work again then, because, well, now then we have 2, but I'm just using the first one of the array, and then same thing should happen, no? Although you can wonder if the the binding is probably not going correct. But hey, let's do this first then. At least it should be able to compile the shader again. Yep, shader compiled, it even works, but we did get a lot of validation errors. Yeah, that says it's being used. Index 1 of my array is being used. No, it's not, but I think so, and it was never updated. Well, that's correct, I never updated it. And I think I should. Well, that's kind of interesting, right? How would I update it? When would I update that? Okay, I think I know. Oh, wait, I'll better write it to file. So we receive stuff still, that's still being printed. Received. So this first received is for texture, the top texture, I think. No, that's not true. This is the descriptor set, top descriptor set. As you can see, it has a size now. Array size is 2. And that is not being used at the moment. So I think that's already where it goes wrong then. Then I have another received here for another descriptor and also a size 2. Because whatever's printing this, whatever's receiving this, is actually responsible for updating the descriptor set. And what it's doing is doing an update descriptor set single, which literally means that's not an array. It's just updating a single descriptor instead of 2 of them, as it should do. The single is still calling update descriptor sets, but it's kind of strange that it's not passing 1 somewhere. I think that the 1 is hidden here. This is a single element. It's probably a vector with a single element. So that's the 1 that we have. So this should be a vector with 2 elements, simply because we have an array size of 2. I think that's fixable. So reasonably easy to fix. I just put my gray loading texture in the in well, everything. in the whole array. Yeah, but not now, I think. So I'm going to stop the stream and then I'll be back tomorrow. So everyone, good night.